This is Luton Town, one of the lowest ranked teams in English football. And they made it to the Premier League for the first time in their history last year, but they got relegated. So I want to do the impossible by making Luton Town Premier League champions. Now I know this is not going to be easy because Luton Town is already on the brink of relegation and have lost all hope after last season. But if we can pull this off, it will be the greatest managerial achievement of all time. And so my journey with Luton Town begins. My first job as manager is to assess the squad. Oh my gosh, it's worse than I thought. And we're playing a 5-back, and our best two players are the goalkeeper and left back. No wonder Luton Town hasn't been able to win any games. They haven't had anyone to score for them. But that's why I'm here, and we need to find a way to make it work. Because my goal for the first season is to achieve promotion and rejoin the Premier League. I know it sounds crazy because our squad isn't even close to a Premier League level yet, but I've got some ideas that are going to change Luton Town forever. So starting off, I have come up with some 4-4-2 tactics that will leave Pep Guardiola shaking in his boots or scratching himself and creepily walking off. It's the perfect balance between attacking and defensive, but to make this work, we need to sign a new left midfielder because our first one doesn't fit the position at all. He even drops 14 overall. How am I supposed to win the Premier League if not everyone is on board? So to find a new midfielder, I could either check out the youth academy and find a new young player to develop, or buy an established player off the market. And since the board has given us $16 million to use this year, the transfer market is clearly the traditional way to go. But since I want to build a legacy beyond my years, I'm going to start with the youth academy, especially this 16-year-old winger named Charlie Warner. He has the potential to develop into a 93 overall, and he could be the perfect left midfielder to fit into our system and eventually win the Premier League. But it doesn't make sense to pull him into the first team right now because we can continue to develop him in the academy and use him next season when we're actually contending for the Premier League title. But now it's time to put that $16 million to use. But as soon as I found a player I really liked, Haji Wright, he's young with tons of potential and not happy at Coventry. But there's just one problem. He would cost more than half of our transfer budget. So I talked to his agents, and after some intense negotiations, Haji Wright is on the squad. And I really think Haji could be the guy that leads Luton Town towards promotion and eventually winning the Premier League. But after getting Wright, I still need another striker. And after analyzing our options, I found the love of my life. With high pace and great finishing, I signed him to the team. But I made a huge mistake. If we sign him to the squad, we won't have enough money to pay his contract. So I had to let him go, and instead I'm forced to develop through the youth academy. Because after signing Haji, I only have $8 million left. And I can't make a mistake because if I use this money incorrectly, Luton Town will not get promoted. And I will lose everything that we worked so hard for. But since we can't spend the money on any more players, I'm going to sign the best coaches and scouts on the market to develop our players and bring the best talent in the world to Luton Town. The championship season begins now, and with all the work we've done, implementing the new tactics, signing Haji Wright, developing the youth academy, and scouting all over the world, it's time to see if we have what it takes because I am not settling for anything less than promotion. But not even 6 minutes into the game, Burnley whips it in from out wide and takes the lead 1-0. And it doesn't help that every time we get the ball in the final third, we completely miss the goal. And finally, when I think I have a chance, I get scored on in the 74th minute, and I lose my managerial debut 2-0. But just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, my players were not adapting well to the tactical system I put in place, so we're losing almost every game. And to make things worse, the only signing I brought to the squad, Haji Wright, has not been performing at all. And I can't even replace him because our scouts haven't found a single usable player yet. Oh no, it's worse than I thought. It's worse than I thought. We finished 11th in the second division. And to think I was supposed to get promoted this season, but we're just lucky we haven't been relegated. Right after the season ended, I had a meeting with the Luton Town board, and I thought I was going to get fired, but they told me something I never expected. They said, "We have abducted your family and taken them to an undisclosed location. If you don't achieve promotion this season, we will act accordingly. Thank you, the Luton Town board." But since the stakes are higher than ever before, I need to figure out what went wrong last season. The tactics weren't great, but the bigger problem was our left midfielder. Haji ended up playing striker, so that left us with no options at left midfield, which was getting exposed all season long. So my number one goal is to find a left midfielder that is going to help us achieve our number one goal of winning the championship. And I think I have the perfect player in mind. And even though he isn't a high overall, it's time to sign Charlie to the squad. But after signing Charlie, I realized my biggest mistake mistake from last season. Every single player on the squad was tired with low sharpness. And how can we expect to win games if we're tired all the time? So I did some investigating and I found out that Luton Town's training programs were some of the worst in the entire league. In fact, we didn't have one. So we wasted millions of dollars last season on coaches who weren't even doing anything. And if we want to make it to the Premier League, we have to be better than that. But this season, the board is giving us $15 million, but I still want more. Because if we want to achieve promotion, we're going to have to make some insane moves. So I went through the entire team and transferred out every single player who was not performing well. And it went great. Transferring 6 players gave us an extra $7 million. But that's when something unexpected happened. After allocating money into the Luton Town safe after making a transfer, someone forgot to lock the door. And $21 million was stolen from our transfer budget just like that. And now I only have $1 million to achieve promotion and save my family. And with our current squad, it doesn't look very good. But just when I thought all hope was lost, a miracle occurred. We were offered $7 million for our striker, and another club was interested in one of our center backs. So after having just $1 million, we now have enough money to upgrade the team and have a chance at achieving our goal of winning the championship. So I did what I should have done in the beginning and sign every single one of our players to contract extension, which made them extremely motivated to win the league, but I still don't have a striker. And since we had so many players that required extensions, we are left with just enough money to find a striker to pair with Wright. But after looking for hours, the only good option I could find was the Everton striker Vito. And if he can play well with Wright, I think this combination could win us the Premier League. But our second season begins now and Luton Town is off to a great start. The players are extremely happy and my plan is actually working. But after everything we've gone through, Luton Town has only finished 4th in the championship. And the only way to achieve promotion is by winning the playoff. But with everything on the line, we have to win. But just 3 minutes into the semifinals against Stoke City, Wright takes on the defender and scores a beautiful goal, giving us so much momentum that we ended up winning 3-1. Now all that's left to do is win the final and we successfully achieve promotion and save my family. But there's just one problem. We're playing Leeds United. And even though they finished 6th in standings, they have one of the best teams in the entire league. But just 13 minutes into the game, I have a corner kick, and since nobody's opening the box, I decided to play it short to Chong. And somehow Moses finds Lockyer to take the lead 1-0. But just 3 minutes later, Bamford plays James through on goal on what clearly looked offsides. But it wasn't, and with a few simple touches, James ties the game. But now it's the 56th minute, and with the defender closing me down, it looks like I have nowhere to go. But I sidestep the defender and find none other than the second-year signing Haji Wright, and with one simple touch, 2-1. And since there isn't much time left, we have the best chance to achieve promotion, until I make the biggest mistake of my career. Slide tackling Berghaus in the box and giving up a PK. Referee, that was clean, but it doesn't matter. And with the game on the line, I think he's going left, wrong. But after 120 minutes, it's time for real penalty kicks, with everything on the line. I just can't stop thinking about how much we need to win this game. We're up first, let's bury this bottom left. And I thought he missed. A save would be huge here, let's go left. Oh, wow. I went bottom left last time, so let's try top. Bang! He can't be going right again. Damn. I've only gone left so far. Bottom right. I think he's going down the middle. Let's go. We only need 2 more goals and we achieve our goal of promotion. Let's go. Or we could get a save here. What even was that? Please don't miss this. Nope. How did he save that? Hey, we can still save it. Oh, no. We can't miss any more shots. Let's go. Big time players make big time players. We did it. Luton Town has been promoted to the Premier League, and it feels so good to celebrate after the season we just had. But this is just the start, because we still have a long way to go if we want to become Premier League champions. Season 3 starts now, and the Luton Town board calls me in for another meeting, stating, "We are very pleased with the outcome of this season, although it was a lot closer than we anticipated. You have achieved your goal of promotion, therefore we have released your family and extend your contract for another season." But now that we're in the Premier League, we have Premier League money, $58 million. And if we use it correctly, we're going to achieve our goal of winning the Premier League in just 1 season, after starting all the way from the bottom of the championship. But since we have so much momentum, it's time to go all in. We don't have to think about the future as long as we win right now. So the first thing I did was fire all of the coaching staff. They cost way too much money and our team barely developed over the past 2 years. And so many of our players have their contracts set to expire. And since we're not thinking about the future, I only re-signed the players that actually matter to the team. If you're a backup or in the reserves, you can easily easily be replaced. But just when I was about to start spending my money, Atletico Madrid called and had a very important offer. They want to give us 25.7 million for our left back Doughty, which is a lot of money. And if we accept, we'll have over $70 million to put towards winning the Premier League. But that means we would also lose our highest rated player. And he's performed so well for us over the past 2 seasons. So I tell them to kick rocks and instead transfer our center mid Nakamba, who's been complaining he doesn't get any playtime ever since he got to the club. It's not my fault you're a center mid and you don't even play center mid correctly. So now we're left with $64 million to find the best player to help us win the Premier League. And if you remember from the first season, we sent scouts all over the world to find the best talent to bring to Luton Town, but they failed miserably and didn't find a single player. So I had an idea. Instead of signing one player for $64 million, let's use all the money to build a great team. And since we still need a replacement in the midfield, I found Gustavo Him, the 28-year-old center mid from Sheffield United. Amazing all around, and he fits perfectly into the system we've been trying to set up for 2 seasons now. The squad is finally starting to look complete, but there is one player I've had my eye on for a while. He can play on either side of the field, including striker if he has to. Hwang Hee-cha from Wolves. And after long negotiations, we finally added him to the team. The amount of goals and support he's going to provide is exactly what we need to do to win the Premier League. But after playing the entire season, we finished in 15th place. After all we've done to develop the club, I don't know if we'll ever be able to win the Premier League. Season 4 starts now, and I just received a letter from the Luton Town board. Hey manager, remember us? We did it again. We have your family. You embarrassed the club last season, and if you don't win the Premier League, say goodbye to your family and your job. But how am I supposed to win the Premier League if they only give me $33 million? So I did exactly what I tried to do last season and sell some of our players to get even more money. And even though Chong has been great for us, $9 million is $9 million. But I had an idea. Since it's my first time in the Premier League, what if I asked some of the big name managers to give me advice? So I called Pep Guardiola, and for some reason he had scratches all over his face. But then I asked him about his tactics, and he told me he learned everything from just one man. So I studied Johan Cruyff, and I figured it out. I know exactly how to win the Premier League. Not only have our players' ratings increased since taking over 3 years ago, but our chemistry has increased as well. But we still had gaps in the midfield, and with Cruyff on my mind, an old Ajax player was the only way to do it. So I signed Van de Beek for $8.1 million so that he can bring the Cruyff tactics that will help us to achieve our goal of winning the Premier League. But our center backs are pretty bad too. For some reason, everyone on defense just keeps leaving. Maybe it has something to do with the board being toxic. I don't know. So I signed Clark, and now our back line is starting to look solid again. But now that we're out of money, I hope the information I learned about Cruyff will help us win the league. And in our first game, it's working. Wright scored a beautiful goal just 4 minutes into the game, but then Beto scored 10 minutes later with none other than the Ajax boy with the assist, and we win 4-0. And everything was going great. We were in 6th place halfway through the season, but then 2 of our players got in a fight and everything went horrible. In order to keep the club intact, I had to get rid of both of them, and just when things started to look great, it all fell apart. Finishing 13th in the Premier League, losing all my good players, losing my job, and more importantly, my family. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like watching balls get bigger, click here. Peace.